Wow. I want to give this a minute first. The song is so comfy. This should not be a long stream though. I just want to play a song. I want to play video games. Where are the video games? I just really wanted to scroll over a couple of tweets. Wonderful. Okay. So, I just it wasn't even anything particular exploding out. Just as usual on our delightful Happy Fun Discord. People linking to stuff they saw, which is how chat works, by the way. For there's apparently, somehow, for some reason, a lot of boomers out there who are like, look at what they're saying stuff about the... And it's like, yeah, that's a chat room. People link to things that they say or they see on the internet, and then other people look at it and then say things. And for some reason, for many, many years, Comicsgate has always been just horrifically traumatized by us just in our own Discord. It's not, it's a public Discord, but it's not like our Discord gets forcibly broadcast into their faces. It's just our Discord. You would have to go to our Discord to see what we're saying, or people who go to our Discord would have to screen cap stuff and send it to you. And if they're doing that, what good are they doing you if it's something that just makes you mad? Is that, and then we're just going to laugh at it, which that's been happening for years with, especially with Comicsgate and with a lot of other people. Just having a good long laugh at their expense. So here was something, this some old, yet another irrelevant boomer who is not capable of making, let alone judging, good comics. Matt 6 Bar, I don't really have any idea who this guy is, but and somebody else had to tell me, oh, he's the guy who did Rock and Roll Ninja with your boy Zach. And it's like, wasn't that comic late? I was wrong though. That comic wasn't late. The comic is still late, because when I heard it was late, I figured it would be out by now. It's still not even out. They're talking about how it, someone said it just went to the, you know what, we'll actually get to that. That's why I wanted to do a stream, so I could get this over with. But also because me and my brother have been recording tons of other stuff for our Subscribe Star in the past few days. And I figured instead of this being yet another Subscribe Star video, there's a bunch of stuff like this on our Subscribe Star, just like this, where we're covering all the good stuff, and we're doing it live, which of course is delightful. But then, because it's recorded, it's sort of not live. I guess sort of you could call it almost live. Classic show. You know what's funny? That Bill Nye was on Almost Live before he became Bill Nye the Science Guy. And he was, that was the thing. He was basically a comedian then. It was a sketch comedy show that they used to play at like 7 in the morning on Comedy Central, and they were reruns, I'm pretty sure. So it was like from the late 80s, and I think it was some local show in Seattle. I just remember the fucking Billy Kwan, I think, the skits where it was like a Asian dude who is intentionally redubbing as some goofy voice, and then he would just be flying at people with it. It would be like the sort of like the this is very important. This is more important than Comicsgate for sure. But it'd be like that Naked Gun sketch where the siren on top of the car is like flying in Star Wars and that kind of shit. But it would be like Billy Kwan's feet like chasing a guy down the street and turning in midair. And he's like just doing a flying jump kick. And I believe they ripped that off for Mortal Kombat. Liu Kang was completely stolen by that. You could find that on YouTube too if you look up. I'm pretty sure it's Billy Kwan. I could look it up right now. But you know what? I think we have other things to talk about. And I can't look at the chat right now either because this should be a short stream. Although I have just guaranteed that will now be longer than average. Or than originally intended. So anyways, here, this dude, here's somebody, William the Old West Outlaw, Arya. But he says, I mean, he's not wrong. Hell, the name Black Sabbath was the name of a Boris Karloff film first. Honest question. Do you think there's a uniquely 100% original name that hasn't been used somewhere by someone at some time? And so Matt Barr says Cyberfrog is 100% original, which is really kind of a dumb argument because there was a Rocko's Modern Life joke or gag of sort of making fun of RoboCop, and I think it was just called Robo-Toad. And there were a couple jokes and references to it in Rocko's Modern Life, and Rocko's Modern Life ended in '94, which I from what I remember, predates Cyberfrog entirely. So, I mean, yeah, granted, you can say, well, Cyberfrog and Robo-Toad are two different names, but it's, similar. The thing is, who cares if the name is similar? I don't care if Black Sabbath stole from a thing. I don't care if a name of something is ripped off another name. It's that, I'm not even sure what they were talking about, because this wasn't a thread I was reading or fucking looking at. So this whole argument about, like, well, what about original names is like, well, the real problem in Comicsgate is none of their ideas are original. Cyberfrog is just straight up a ripoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that was 10 years late. And really you could say it was a ripoff of Battletoads, because Battletoads predated, even the name, somewhat similar. Battletoads also much more tongue-in-cheek, self-aware. But he just mentioned, basically, it's just shilling for Comicsgate. So is Inglorious Rex, is it? Godlike, I'm pretty sure that's been used somewhere else. Flying Sparks, not really. Again, just fucking all these other things. I could keep going at this point, but I'm rubbing you. See, it's trying to fucking be bragging about it. Hail Comicsgate, really, are ya? But, so, here is this guy. Haj Jaguar, oh, he does follow me, saying Cyberfrog is original as just going by the name. He says the rest of the names don't ring a bell. I don't think the level of writing behind Cyberfrog is enough to complement the art, which is that was the thing. This guy, I know, did review Cyberfrog and pointed out that the actual writing of Cyberfrog, especially the first book, just goes nowhere. But that's a whole other argument. That's a whole other point that's pretty much stayed unrefuted. Some other guy here says, at the time when things began, it was the best way. It came by both art and writing, which not sure what that exactly means. I guess he's trying to say that the art and writing is the best. Compared to what? I don't know. Usually, when it comes to comic book fans, the basis for comparison is literally nothing. It's an empty space. They're comparing a comic book to a blank book that doesn't have anything in it. Sort of like the old, I believe it was a Roger Ebert joke about saying that a movie does not improve upon the experience of looking at a blank screen. But anyways, so Hodge replies again saying, art maybe. The writing was hit or miss and didn't resonate with me. At times the author and artist assumed that the reader already knew every character beforehand. I never actively lived the 90s and I can't look inside his head. And that is just straight up incompetence as a writer. When you're writing a book that hasn't been continued since the 90s and you don't make it available, like it's continuing from something that you made in 1997, and it's like, this is the sequel to something from 1997. It's like, well, I didn't read that. So that was one of the things, one of the skills that they had in episodic TV, for instance, Star Trek The Next Generation, which if you're making a comic, you do need to be living up to that standard. If you're not living up to that standard, your comic is stupid and bad, and you are a bad creator. But they wrote every episode, even if the episode of TNG was continuing off of another episode, unless it was directly a two-parter. But I mean, there were episodes like I, Borg, or even The Best of Both Worlds Part 1 was continuing off of the Q episode where he throws them into the Borg, and also technically the neutral zone, the shitty neutral zone episode, which was very slightly hinting at the Borg. But all of those details are very, they don't even need to really be established necessarily. But the episodes still do something to establish that they were familiar with the Borg already. Iborg specifically. Like they'll say, and all you need is a throwaway line sometimes to be like, well, remember when Picard was captured by the Borg when they attacked that one time a couple of years ago. So they, the more information, the better. Throw in time. Throw in what happened, a sum up, and try not to drag too much with the explanation. That's the job as a writer, is to refine the dialogue, how things are explained. And again, this was somebody who read the book. He bought Cyberfrog, read the book, and he says that it's like, well, this, I don't know what's happening because I don't know who these people are. Just a character will show up, and we don't know who they are. It's never explained. That kind of thing. That's what he's talking about, basically. And of course, I've seen Cyberfrog, too, as well. That's another funny thing that was talked about yesterday. We were all discussing on our Discord server. Multiple other people were mentioning, including me, but other people were mentioning that nobody even pirated Cyberfrog because legitimately there's not that much interest. People pirated ISOM just for the lol cow factor, to be like, okay, everyone's claiming that this is the best comic book. Not that it's even the most popular, but that was the argument, was that ISOM is the most popular comic book, the biggest crowdfunding, therefore it is the best comic book of the entire year. And people are like, well, that doesn't mean it's the best comic book just because it made this much money or said it made this much money or any of that kind of stuff. And so it made, it was specifically the defenders of the book got more and more thin-skinned and hysterical and overreacting and basically crying and screeching to the point where they were flagging people's accounts. And this is before ISOM 1 came out. A lot of people are forgetting that and intentionally choosing to ignore that, is that ISOM defenders and fans were flagging people's accounts before the comic was out, because it had nothing to do with the piracy or the DMCA stuff. We have screenshots of ISOM fans openly gloating about flagging people's accounts just for making fun of Eric July. And there was the thing, Eric July would openly use his audience as a bludgeon to attack anyone who even questioned the validity of his comic before the first one came out. Again, it's very important to point out, this is before the Dick Masterson stuff. This is before the DMCA strikes. All of this it was last year. It was not fucking even within the past few months. We have the screenshots of people, ISOM fans, and of course Eric July would never say, "Hey, don't flag people who make fun of me." He would fucking, he would post the stuff and say, "Look at what they're saying," with the intent of getting his audience to attack and to get the people banned. And I know that from personal experience because the Shitty Webcomics Twitter account was banned specifically by ISOM fans. My brother's Twitter account was also not only suspended, but the people who did it were the ISOM fans. They were screenshotting their report page and bragging about it openly. So again, the SJW side, the woke side, is the ISOM side. It is the Comicsgate side. So that right there is cause enough to dismiss any of the comics these people make. But then if you actually go into the content, you see that they don't know how to write comics. Ethan Van Sciver doesn't know how to write comics. And another way to prove that is look for anyone who has ever paid Ethan Van Sciver to write a comic. Look for an artist who is like, I need a writer for my comic. I'm going to hire Ethan Van Sciver, not to draw it, but to write it. That's never happened. That's never happened once. And the people, anyone who tries to claim, well, the crowdfunding campaign, no, that's a false argument. And it's also a completely other argument. We're here to cover something else anyways. But either way, that's an easily disproven argument. We could go into that sometime if you want. But the argument for that, is on also on our Subscribe Star videos if you want to check that out. So I replied, though, to this guy, knowing, I already knew when I made this reply here, that it would absolutely burn up this thin-skinned queer, because Comicsgate people are the most thin-skinned people basically in the history of the entire internet, and I would know that better than anyone because I've been researching and documenting, studying this for over 20 years now. Nobody's better at it than I am, just about, perhaps. Well, some people are. But you know what? I'll just say that I am an expert, professional, in fact, you could say. So I pointed out, and the thing is that this is true when I said this. Cyberfrog was filled with rookie mistakes as far as writing. He surrounds himself with brown-nosers and people with no talent who pretend he's good, but they wouldn't know. None of them understand fundamentals of storytelling. And basically coming in to accidentally prove my point is the Matt Barr guy. Get out of my feed, fuck. No talent. I've seen your shit. It's lacking. A guy who, unironically, would have no basis for comparison and wouldn't know. Just like I said, somebody who wouldn't know proves my point by not know, showing up to not know. And I think it's a very stupid way of arguing, but I did ratio the shit out of him. 6 likes. This is, well, wait a second. Oh no, now it's 7 to his 0.0. Get some friends of yours to fucking help up Deuterino your tweets next time. Again, that's not an argument though, but it's kind of funny at his expense. The whole Twitter ratio thing is retarded anyways, though. It's always been kind of a dumb point. People would use that as the point, but at the same time, the point of it is that it isn't a point. So I get the joke of that. That's pretty good. Here's this guy though, the Hodge Jaguar Warrior. He's also a Spore Harvester something on YouTube. I recognize his profile pic, so I have seen him before on some other stuff. And he replies saying, I don't know, I enjoyed the webcomic literally, despite the, literally, by the way, for anyone who did. And it's not a webcomic specifically, but I did upload it onto a couple websites where people enjoyed it, by the way. It's even, interestingly enough, on eHentai, because you can just upload non-porn comics to eHentai, and people who read it on eHentai were like, oh, it was fun and cute and happy. So even the fucking Coomers, the Coomerino Coomers on eHentai enjoyed literally, just as this guy did. He says, I enjoyed the webcomic literally despite not being into the art style. First of all, don't tell Turkey said that. Whoa. I thought the art style was delightful, but here's the thing. I think that's also that's a whole other argument as well. that we've talked about on many of our old videos, not just the Subscribestar videos, but many of our videos about the importance of writing over art. And we've done streams with Tim and Mark going into that, about like sometimes the simplistic aspect of the art actually makes it more expressive. That was something that Scott McCloud mentions in Understanding Comics, which is a book that clearly this Matt Barr guy never read and probably should read, but I think it's too late for him now. He's like, what, 50? If you're 50 years old and you don't understand comics, I mean, the thing about understanding comics is it just points out stuff you should already innately know if you're making comics, and nobody in Comicsgate knows it, innately or from learning. And if you're like 30 or getting into your 40s, they say, you know, it's never too late to learn. But if you're 50, it's too late to learn. So this guy says to call him buttfuck is something I would not have done because it wouldn't do my online image any good. Yeah, I suppose that's a good point, but you know it's not also not going to do someone's online image any good is something I bring up in the reply here. His customers are literally dying of old age and he still isn't getting his SJW tier comics done. Which, by the way, Comicsgate are SJWs in practice. They're fucking in praxis, you could even say. They say they aren't. That's the new thing. There are a lot of people who haven't caught on to that yet, still for some reason. But the new thing over the past couple of years is leftists and SJW woke people, the wokenati or whatever the fuck, who just say that they are anti-woke. But then in their public behavior, they are every bit the woke SJW that they pretend to be against. It's about what they do, not what they say. If you go by what they say they're anti-woke. If you go by what they do, they are more woke than your average leftist, even. And there are many, many, many examples of that. Our channel is full of them, documenting them objectively and irrefutably, quantifiably, measurably. Quantifiably and measurably mean the same thing. But our Subscribestar also has a lot of deep dives covering the proving what I just said as well. So if you really want to know, donate to our Subscribestar. If you don't want to know, don't donate to our Subscribestar. But anyways, I said I legit thought he would have at least shipped that one disgracefully late comic by now, and he still hasn't. Holy shit. And so here's a screenshot that, somebody else went to, the comic's called Rock and Roll Ninja. Go ahead, check it out for yourself. And the latest comments, here's this guy saying, yeah, at this point, just ship my books to my grave site. And then Splato Comics. Good job, Splato Comics. One of the shittiest names for a fucking comic imprint, too. He says, don't die yet. Rock and Roll Ninja just got sent to the printers. I think they may have died because you said that. So, good job. That one's fucking really bearing them. And then the next comment from like 5 days before that. So this one was 5 days ago. The other says 10 days ago. As it says in the screenshot, as you can look at it. But this guy says, and this is something very important, by the way, with the lateness of this project and the other one I backed of yours, I probably will never back another one from you or anyone else. Over 2 years, sad. And 2 updates on that comment, which means other people going to the comment section agree with this guy and are probably annoyed and pissed off, and most people probably have forgotten about this comic entirely and don't give a shit about it anymore. But here's the thing. Late comics, it's like, okay, there are extenuating circumstances if you don't draw a comic and you're paying an artist. If you ran the campaign to pay an artist to fucking get it done, and something happens to the artist, like the guy who made Non-Player, who fucking released that first issue like 10 years ago, and then he broke his collarbone in a fucking bicycle accident or something. and couldn't draw for a year or two. And I think it still took him 5 years to finally release Non-Player 2. And it's like, well, now the whole thing's cooled off. But that's just based on expectation and hype and stuff. Take that out, and if the comic's good, the comic's good, no matter how late it is. But this comic is written by Richard C. Meyer, who is objectively bad. He is anything you can say bad about any SJW writer applies to him in the exact same ways, where he has no sense of storytelling. All of his stories are and then storytelling instead of because of or therefore. Richard doesn't have any understanding of any of the fundamentals of storytelling. And again, that's a whole other topic that we are actually covering in some upcoming videos on our Subscribestar as well. So again, there's a lot of topics that we cover constantly, all at once, all at the same time. Very dense. It's so dense. There's so much going on in every one of our videos. So again, there's a lot of stuff that we cover in all of our videos. Even the public ones, even the shitty Webcomics Weekly episodes, which are just completely free. And non-monetized, because I don't want ads. If I can avoid ads showing up on our videos, I'm going to do everything I can to do that. And also, on top of that, I don't want to help make YouTube money in any way. I don't want YouTube to receive any money, especially from my videos. But anyways, what this guy says, though, he says, with the lateness of your project, I will never back another one from you or anyone else. So this is what Comicsgate does, and this is another thing we talk about constantly and have talked about for years on our YouTube channel, especially our previous YouTube channel, which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, was reported, it was false flagged and banned by Comicsgate, and Ethan Van Sciver paid a guy to do it. And nobody talks about it because they don't like how inconvenient that truth is, that rape fact is, hate facts. A lot of ways you could put it, but either way it is a fact that Ethan Van Sciver, and this was proven, there's evidence, we've shown it many, many times, that Ethan Van Sciver paid somebody to false flag our channel. It wasn't just that. He paid somebody to try to get our docs as well. All he ended up doing, he didn't get our docs, all he ended up doing was getting our channel banned. But our channel had lots of videos of us discussing this exact topic, that Comicsgate is so incompetent at getting their comics out there or making any worthwhile readable comics that they're losing other people business. It's bad for the entire medium. It's bad for comics itself. It's not just bad for Comicsgate. These people are swearing off, these customers are swearing off any campaigns now. And that is why Comicsgate itself is, that's why we refer to them as SJW tier and equal to the SJWs, because they're bad for comics. If you're in any way in favor of good comics, you are antithetical to Comicsgate. Among a lot of other things, but again, a whole other topic, and we get into that in many of our other videos. If you want to actually know more about that, become PayPig. But here's the point that I wanted to actually get to. This is the interesting part. Is here, One-Eye Jeff says, bro legit pull refunded me because I complained about how late his stupid ninja book was. This was a year ago. So this guy, One-Eye Jeff, was like, hey, your book is late. It sucks. Whatever. And this is something I would never do. If anyone was like, your book is late, I would, first of all, I would be like, I can't really help that, because all I can do is pay the artist. And if the artist, has ripped me off, if they're late, which hasn't happened, by the way, ever. I've released more books than these people. I've released more books than this guy. I mean, the fucking Rock and Roll Ninja guy, Matt 6 Bar. Again, what the fuck? What the hell kind of a name is that? What kind of a name is Bar? Sounds a little suspicious to me. But anyways, I've released more comics than he has. Again, I don't have nearly as much funding, and I can still fucking get it done. So There is no, and he's an artist too. He's the one drawing the book, so he's not waiting on an artist. He's waiting on himself. There is no excuse for that. But here's the next reply, though, is the Hodge. And he replies, "It appears you are not the only one." And this is, as it turns out, something that just happened today, something he just found out about today, 15 hours ago. I guess it's technically yesterday by a couple hours. But he says, apparently you're not the only one. And I think he just went to the Rock and Roll Ninja campaign and he noticed that it says status refunded off Indiegogo. The campaigner, meaning Matt Barr, has noted that they refunded your contribution outside the Indiegogo platform. Please contact the campaigner directly if you have questions or have not received your refund. Now, this is very interesting because unless this guy here didn't get the money, that means that Matt Barr canceled the order and kept the money. And I asked this guy, I was like, "Did you get any money? Have you received any money? Have you?" And he didn't he didn't say that he did. So again, it looks like Matt Barr just stole this guy's money, just flat out canceled his order and pocketed the money. And again, this is not new for Comicsgate. Comicsgate has done this before. Comicsgate has contacted employers of customers. One in particular, I remember for Cyberfrog 1, where someone was like, I think I want to refund. The book's late, and you're going after people like Nurkish falsely, and you're lying about them and creating false narratives about them. So I don't want your book anymore. Ethan contacted the guy's employer, and that guy was removed from his job. Now, it was a fucking sort of work for hire job. So the guy went on. It's funny. The guy, the customer in question, who wasn't fired from his day job. He was just removed from another job because he was writing a comic, another comic that was in Comicsgate, as it turned out. So I don't like being vague about it, but the thing is that there's a lot of bizarre behind the scenes shit. But it involved Red Rooster specifically. So for anyone who doesn't know, there's more to that story, and again, I can talk more about that in our Subscribe Star videos. So if you really want to know, you can always just ask too. But here, again, $30 for a fucking comic book, even signed. That's just gouging your customer. But anyways, yeah, here, Matt Barr just fucking coping and seething, and also pretty clearly dilating. But just, to the befuddlement of an average customer. This is actually unrelated, but because I opened a few tabs of just things that are funny. But here it said, here's All Crap Comics, just a goof account to make fun of Ethan, saying, "Happy 1 year anniversary to the last Rainbow Brute update. Refund the money you stole, you lazy fuck." Which again, this November 6th, this was a few days ago actually. But when I talk about how, there's a long history of Comicsgate people stealing money, there's also the statue forms. That's a whole thing nobody in Comicsgate ever admits to or talks about. But that was a giant scandal that they all swept under the rug. And we were the only people to do videos about that. Or we did a video about that. And I think that's still on our channel right now. I don't even think it's a fucking paywall video. But it may be. We may have had to. Again, I didn't want to make a paywall, but we had to because of how many people were flagging our accounts. Even my Rumble account got banned by people in Comicsgate or Comicsgate supporters just reporting me. But yeah, here's fucking, and again, 12 months ago, and look at the fake, again, it's the fake anti-SJW posturing, fake anti-SJW signaling, you could say. Are you tired of lunatic feminists ruining T-boy properties with their weak woke garbage? And it's like made by a people who is making weak woke garbage. So and I replied with a screen. Somebody found a tweet of Ethan from 2020, so 3 years ago, of Ethan saying Rainbow Brute is coming in November. It'll be number one. Again, the whole we will win, we are winning thing. That is just all. Every time you see that, it's always going to be empty talk. It's meaningless, and it's actually an indicator of dishonesty. When somebody says, we will win, and we're going to do this, and we're going to destroy the woke, it means that they're being dishonest. That's how you can tell they're being dishonest, unless you are incapable of telling anything. But anyways, yeah, here I posted this and mentioned it's November of 2023, and he hasn't updated. This Rainbow Brute, by the way, is not going to be out this year either. I could have said, it's 2024, and it would, in 2024, this would still be accurate. But I guess you can't jump the gun, because then, of course, people in Comicsgate would be like, it's not 2024 yet. And it's like, yeah, you're missing the point. Of course, you can't actually discuss anything with people in Comicsgate, because they intentionally choose to miss the point, just like in a way this guy did when he had this fucking meltdown. All he does is evade and change the subject, which is something that Ethan would do also. So anyways, here though, going back to that thread, Mod Radical saying his 80s action movie tough guy persona on Twitter is hilarious when you see how scrawny he is IRL. It said, they're either twiggy or hilariously obese, and then all of them are gray and look like they're perpetually near death. Why do all of them choose comics to be interested in? It is a mystery. Thinking emoji. And so SB Rooster Mod Radical replies again saying, listen here, buttfuck. You think I care? Our book is 2 years late. I work for the NFL. You think you can kick my ass? And then an actual picture of him, and it's like, yikes, Areno. Big yikes. Heckin' Areno. Yikes, Areno. And I replied to that saying he looks like Ernest P. Worrell with AIDS. If he tried to throw a punch, both of his shoulders would dislocate at the same time, and then his gay comic would be even later and shittier. Very tragic. So yeah, that just covers the stuff that we noticed. Again, noticing and realizing the truth. They just openly take the money from their customers, say, fuck you, customer. Again, that's something I would never do if I even had the opportunity, which so far everyone who has actually bought my comics has enjoyed it. I openly encourage people to pirate the comics. Read it for free. I don't give a shit. Not only do I not give a shit, I encourage it. I've uploaded it onto websites. I've uploaded a few of them onto websites for free so that people can just look at them. And the funny thing is that when I've done that, in more than a couple cases, it's resulted directly in sales. I've sold copies when I fucking upload the comics to be pirated. Very interesting. Also interesting is this picture. Turn customers into fanatics, products into obsessions, employees into ambassadors, and brands into religions. That is what all of these people, that is the grift. That is what Comicsgate is doing. All of the YouTubers who are selling culture war as a product, or they're really selling you as the product. You are the product. And the thing is that you pay for you to be the product. That is what you're doing when you send super chats, where 35% of your super chat goes to the woke mob at Google. So if you're supporting these culture war people on YouTube, you're funding the other side directly. And they're not going to tell you that, of course. They're not going to admit that. They don't want you to think about it. All of the fucking, any culture war critic, YouTuber, Comicsgate, ISOM, Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, all of them are more than happy to make money for the woke mob. All that ad revenue, all the super chat money, YouTube and Google get a gigantic cut of it. And You are the rube. You are the sucker. If you're willingly do that, you are fighting on the opposite side of what you think you are. Most people who think they're anti-woke are on the side of the woke and don't even know it, and will never admit it either. They'll just pretend that they aren't. One last thing. Nurkish did a cringe binge stream tonight, and I have a very low cringe tolerance personally, so I never watch them, but I always, try to leave a thumbs up fingers on them. But I like the frame he has for the whole stream is he's got the chat in the middle, it's the video of course, but on the sides like Ribbit see my toad, and here's all the way on the left here under that copy of Common America, and then a fucking Funko Pop for Star Wars, beheaded Captain Marvel doll for figurine or toy or whatever the fuck. On the right, you could see just a very vaguely, here's, hello, my name is Clip E, which I think was from the previous bits. But there's a issue of Cash Grab, and it's the original one because it has Nurkish on the cover. So it's the real Cash Grab instead of the fake one that I don't even... Again, that's another one. Nobody knows if that one's come out either. I would have to go to the campaign and find out. As far as I know, that still hasn't come out. What I remember is that for years, in 2018, Tim Lim almost had Cash Grab done, and they had to cancel it because Ethan started running gay ops against Nurkish, and had been running gay ops against Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini for a while. And then the really bizarre thing is when they outed that and fucking showed the proof that Ethan was doing that, Ethan called that a gay op. Because Ethan doesn't know what the word gay ops means. One of Ethan's friends actually said Ethan does not know what the term gay ops means, and he actually thinks it means telling the truth. And they said that as a joke, but it's also true. Also, this tip jar, one of the coins in the tip jar is a Ribbit coin with the sticker peeling off. And also the gun next to it with the scratch marks in it, by the way, is the family suicide gun. That's an old Nurkish reference, going back for the real fans. Anyways, so one other thing, by the way, when it comes to the whole thing about this guy, I am glad that this Matt Barr guy doesn't like my comic, because if he did, I would have to assume something was wrong with it. That's the thing about Comicsgate, is that the creators in that are objectively shitty at making comics, especially at storytelling. They're some of the worst storytellers ever. So if they like your comic, fucking go fix it. Find out what you're doing wrong. That's very important. In fact, there's a weird element of jealousy where if your comic is too good, they'll start to resent you. There's been people in Comicsgate who've been sort of pushed out of the movement because their comics were a little too good and were seen as potentially too much competition for the kings rather than queens of Comicsgate. Like that was one of the major reasons why Doug TenNapel actually got pushed out. Again, nobody tells the real story about that either, except for us. In fact, that was funny that that one Killstream appearance with Ethan Ralph. I was telling Ethan Ralph the true story of what was happening with that, and he cut me off because he wanted to hear the fake story about that. He wanted to hear the lie instead. It's like, if you'd rather hear the lie, go ahead. And he just got played for a complete dolt, which, again, not very surprising considering it's Ethan Ralph. But this was before the big fucking Ethan Ralph meltdown and before his big implosion, too. So we were able to know that. And we had called that. We were like, wow, Ethan Ralph is fucking... He's a fucking completely... He's a dishonest person innately. But also it's like... Is this guy about to fucking implode? And then, sure enough, we completely called it. It was like a year in advance, actually. And the same thing happened with Nick Arcada, by the way. If you want proof of that, just go look at Alyssa Clips. But if you wanted proof of that years before Alyssa Clips, you should have been watching our channel, because we proved that a long time ago, among many other things and other examples. So anyways, for anyone who watched, thanks for showing up. As usual, you come in here with balls, and we're we're able to do these streams because of people like you. And so thanks for helping us out. And again, if you want to know more, you should be supporting us. You should be supporting the people who tell you the truth. And if you want to do that, not just our Subscribe Star, there are many other ways to become pig and donate to us, which is good. You can also buy check out Iconic Comics, check out King Wolf Comics if you want to support actual good comics. And if you want to support us for telling the truth, there are a bunch of ways. You could, you can just ask me, but also there's links below in the wonderful description. And aside from that, a bunch more videos going up on our Subscribe Star. Every 5 days a new one goes up, which is great. And every Wednesday is a new episode of Shitty Webcomics Weekly. I wanted to do a stream of me starting a new run on Into the Radius 1.0 because I finally got that working properly again. It's wonky, but I wanted to, it's not very related, but I'm just going to say this anyways. So, the whole Comicsgate thing with Into the Radius, much more important. Into the Radius, classic. 1.0, I wanted to stream me starting a brand new run of the old 1.0, the crazy, creepy, bizarre, old, very jank 1.0 of Into the Radius. And I want to stream that, and I haven't been able to. I've just been busy with all sorts of crazy stuff. But I might do that soon, and that will be just a nice thing to enjoy and be happy about. So again, thanks for people helping us out, giving us strange support, as that abortionist guy said, that umbrella abortionist, if you will. Wishing him a very divorce. And for everyone else, thanks for good job listening to Shitty Webcomics, and for everyone who didn't, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.